Vigil, Ante, and the Vigilante Antics by BelleAmant. Read by Oakshadow 5. Chapter 48. Nicknames and Birthdays.
Here's the list of those who passed and those who failed.
Is all that Aizawa says as he flicks on a hologram. Izuku's eyes dart to the screen, and a sigh escapes him when he quickly sees Izuku Midoriya passed as the first name on the list. Even though this shouldn't, in all honesty, be surprising, considering that he heard the speaker as it proclaimed his win. Hitoshi isn't far down the list, Hunter right below him. It looks like they were the third team to pass, just behind Shoto and Yaoyorozu, who fought Aizawa. I'll have to ask Toshi how they passed, Izuku thinks with a smile, only to frown when he is sniffling. Glancing across the room, he sees that Ashido is the current source of the sound, although Kaminari looks teary-eyed as well. Looking back to the hologram, Izuku can't help but wince as he sees the results. Both failed. So did Kirishima and Sato, but they seem more disappointed than heartbroken. Goodbye, summer camp, Ashido whimpers. That's exactly when Aizawa flicks off the hologram and announces.
That was just a logical ruse. You're all going to summer camp.
We are? Kaminari shouts, leaping up from his chair.
It only makes sense for you to be there.
Aizawa points out.
You're going to this camp to train, so logically, the people who did the worst on the exam need to go more than the others.
Izuku smiles as his peers cheer, only to snort as Aizawa grins before saying,
Of course, there will be remedial lessons for those who failed. This won't be a walk in the park for you, for any of you.
And yeah, that's about what Izuku expected.
The summer camp is in a few weeks, and you need a few items.
Aizawa continues, and Izuku watches as Aizawa holds up a stack of papers.
Make sure that you get as many of these things as possible, and ask us for assistance if you need anything.
As he speaks, he passes out the papers, and Izuku glances over his. I don't have most of these things, Izuku realizes. I guess Toshi and I need to go shopping. Aizawa talks for a few more moments before leaving the classroom, and Izuku turns to look at Hitoshi. When do you want to go? Izuku starts, and is quickly cut off by Hagakure. We should all go to the mall tomorrow, Hagakure suggests. We have the day off, and we all need to get stuff. What do you guys think? That sounds like a wonderful bonding activity, Tina agrees. Sounds like fun, Carol. Sure, I'm in. The whole class agrees quickly, and Izuku and Hitoshi decide to join in. After making plans for when to meet, and making sure that everyone is in the same group chat, the class files out one by one, ready to head home. Izuku waits behind with Hitoshi, and they head to the teacher's lounge once the halls are clear. Listeners! Yamada cheers as soon as he sees them. How'd you do?
We passed.
Hitoshi says.
You already knew this?
Aizawa adds. Yamada laughs cheerfully, already heading them out of the room. Right. Well, boys, I'd say this definitely calls for a celebration. I'm thinking ice cream. What do you boys think? And Izuku responds without thinking, voice teasing as he says. Whatever you say, Yamadad. He doesn't really know where the nickname pops out. All he knows is that he freezes, and Yamada's teary eyes make him panic. Was the nickname bad? Was it too much? Does he think Izuku is serious? As Izuku has his internal crisis, Yamada turns to Aizawa and taunts. I got the first nickname. Suck on that, Shota.
Whatever.
Aizawa mutters, but Izuku is surprised to see the man's lips tuck into a frown. Luckily, Hitoshi snorts and fixes it with his own joke, saying,
We can call you Dead Zawa if you want.
Aizawa chips on thin air, and Izuku shares a look with Hitoshi, who blinks at the misstep with obvious surprise. But before either of the boys can say anything, Aizawa nods and says,
Okay.
And that's that, Izuku supposes. The trip to the mall arrives sooner than Izuku would have expected, which is quite foolish if he's frank, because the mall trip was planned for the next day. It starts off well at least, and maybe Izuku is only saying this because no one is around that seems to enjoy shouting at him. Or, if he's being more precise, Bakugo. But no matter the reason, he's happy. The group quickly splits into smaller subsections, and Izuku ends up with Hitoshi, Tenya, and Tokoyami. He can't quite remember how they end up in a group together, but it's fun nonetheless. They end up finishing their shopping an hour before they're meant to meet up with the group, which leads to some aimless wandering as they try to figure out what they plan to do with the rest of their time. We can always head to the food court to wait for everyone else, Tennant suggests, shocking absolutely no one. Tokoyami shrugs, offering for them all to enter the bookstore. But then, Dark Shadow pops out, eyes bright as he crows. What if we go to the arcade? And so, that's what they do. And if Izuku ends up running into Shigaraki at the skee-ball machine, well, that's not too important. Not long after the mall trip, Izuku and Itoshi find themselves gathered around a blueprint, glaring down at it as it lays upon the table. Izuku huffs as he jabs his pen at a section, tapping it angrily as he says, "This is why the grenade keeps malfunctioning. The trigger takes too long to work."
Or we just made the fuse too short.
Hitoshi offers with a shrug.
I mean, if it's not enough time, you can always give more room to spare.
But that takes up more materials, Izuku complains.
I mean, won't we be done with all of that soon?
Hitoshi asks.
We are almost done, and once we've got Mom...
We're out, Izuku confirms, and then sighs. Right, okay. Bigger shell, slightly more room. Okay, we can do this. With that in mind, the two get comfortable, planning to create a new set of blueprints. And then there's a knock on the door. Izuku blinks as he hears the noise, glancing over to Hitoshi, who shrugs when faced with the questioning look Izuku gives.
No idea what that's for,
Hitoshi says, and Izuku doesn't either, so he stands up and opens the door. It's Yamada, who smiles at him as he says, "It's time for dinner, kiddos." The words are so simple. Izuku takes a moment to process them before nodding, watching as Yamada walks down the stairs, at her side, with a skip to a step. He turns to Hitoshi, who raises an eyebrow.
Guess it's time to eat,
Hitoshi says, standing up, and Izuku walks beside him.
Yamada's orders, after all.
The name slips out easily, and Izuku snorts, using his laughter to overpower the warm feeling that rises within him whenever the name is used. It's just a nickname after all, a way to poke a bit of fun at their guardians. Nothing that needs to be focused on, or looked at with too much thought. Izuku is thinking about it too much. He pushes it out of his head, and looks up as he enters the kitchen. There are 4 plates, already dished out, and Yamada and Aizawa are already sitting in the normal spots. Izuku sits down, Hitoshi beside him, and they begin to eat in relative silence. Said relative silence doesn't last long before Yamada perks up and asks, "So, how was the mall?" "It was fun," Izuku shrugs.
Dark Shadow beat Tokoyami at a dancing game,
Hitoshi adds in, and Aizawa looks up at that.
Dark Shadow doesn't even have legs,
Aizawa mutters, and Izuku nods. "Don't underestimate him," Izuku says. "Quacks don't listen to the laws of the land." "Ominous," Yamada cheers. "Anything else?" "Tenya can't dance," Izuku says. "He only knows the robot." "I'm pretty sure his older brother can only do the worm, so that makes sense," Yamada responds, and Izuku laughs at the idea of Ingenium, one of the main pursuers, doing the worm in a suit. From Hitoshi's side beside him, Izuku has no doubt that his brother is thinking something similar. Dinner passes in a similar manner, and Izuku is laughing at Yamada's dramatic retelling of his day. "And then, Shota nearly made me drop my food, which I had worked hard on," when Aizawa abruptly drops 2 bags on the table, and then disappears back into the kitchen. Izuku starts, glancing at the bags, and then his confusion doubles when Aizawa returns with a cake, of all things. Aizawa sits back in a spot, raising an eyebrow at them, looking almost amused. No, definitely amused, by Izuku's stillness.
"What is this?"
Hitoshi asks after a solid 20 seconds of silence, and Aizawa snorts.
"A cake?"
Aizawa says, kindly pointing out the obvious.
"And gifts, which you should open, by the way."
He does, and Hitoshi does too. Izuku's bag is filled to the brim with notebooks, each one designed after a different hero that Izuku has rambled about at one point or another, while Hitoshi holds a pair of headphones in his hands.
"They are good for blocking out sound, and can help if you need music to fall asleep,"
Aizawa explains to Hitoshi, who smiles at the thoughtfulness. And it is thoughtful, really, because Hitoshi has always had trouble sleeping, and Izuku is always using up notebooks with all of his ideas. But he can't help but wonder, "Why though? Why are you giving us gifts?" Izuku finally asks, and Yamada is the one to pop in. "For your birthdays," Yamada says, to which Izuku shares an odd look with Hitoshi. "It's already past both of our birthdays," Izuku admits awkwardly, but the 2 others don't seem surprised.
"We know,"
Aizawa says.
we decided to wait until after the year ended.
We didn't want to interfere with your studying time, Yamada explains cheerfully. You two were so focused, so we thought it would be for the best to wait until after school ended to celebrate.
We didn't think you'd enjoy celebrating if we were too worried about exams.
Aizawa mutters.
So enjoy yourselves now, got it?
Got it, Detzawa, Izuku teases, and he has to turn his attention elsewhere when he sees the smile on his parents' guardian's face. He looks at Yamada instead, but the man has the cheerful, excited look that he gets whenever Izuku or Hitoshi stray further away from formality. He looks at Hitoshi, and that feels alright. It all feels alright. He wonders how long the feeling will last. Oh, we got a home chapter. And Izuku thinking of Yamada and Aizawa more and more like parents. But anyways, guys, I hope you all enjoyed chapter 48 of Vigil, Ante and the Vigilante Antics. And I'll see you all next time. Bye!